Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier. Thank you for stopping by as ever. Have a look at this comparison between Bitcoin and gold. Bitcoin has become the new gold, it seems to me. I've been reading Paul Theroux of late, and I read The Lower River, which is, I think I told you a little bit about it, but it's a book. But Theroux went when he was a very young man, about 21, 22, with the Peace Corps to Malawi. He lived in this very remote village. And then he's got married, he's divorced, he's in his 60s, and he goes back to the same village. And if you've ever seen a movie called The Servant with Dirk Bogart, do take a look, actually, if you haven't seen it. It's remarkably good. Sarah Miles. And it becomes a nightmare. And it's really worth reading. Nishat, of course, is from Malawi, and I've been forcing her to read it. Tourists don't know where they've been, travellers don't know where they're going, Paul Theroux. You go away for a long time, return a different person. You never come all the way back. Finally, death is an endless night, so awful to contemplate that it can make us love life and value it with such passion that it may be the ultimate cause of all joy and all art. UNEP, the North Pole, is experiencing temperatures 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than usual for the second year in a row. And I wrote in 2015, I cannot help feeling we are like frogs in boiling water. We have created massive interference in the cosmic tuning phenomenon. I like this photograph by Cyril Jazbek, Magical Night Sky, deep in the Samburu National Reserve. It is a remarkable park. BBC Business, we're talking non-conventional workspaces. We want to know what would be your ideal office. And they posted an office which looked pretty ideal to me. World in Focus, the best photos for 2016. This is the National in the UAE. Political reflections. I forgot to put up this tweet. This is a tweet from Geert Wilders, the Netherlands, without a single word. And when you have a look at it, you'll see what I mean. 5th of December, I said, at this moment, President Putin has Fortress Europe surrounded. Fortress Europe, in my view, is Angela Merkel. And Geert Wilders is obviously on the attack. Atlanticists are appalled that Moscow, Ankara, and Tehran are now fully engaged in designing a post-battle of Aleppo's Syrian future, to the graphic exclusion of the NATO-GCC combo. Every single armed group in Syria, whether moderate or extremist, has been armed and financed by the US and its allies in an attempt to overthrow the Syrian government. The end game in Aleppo involves a handful of foreign agents, US, Saudi, Israeli, and others, said to remain with the last al-Qaeda groups in a tiny part of what was once their stronghold. The US in particular is keen to secure their release because their presence is further evidence of the foreign command of what was claimed to be a civil war. On the 19th of December, I said Aleppo is where the regime change agenda was stopped in its tracks. President Assad would surely have been a footnote, just like former Libyan ruler Muammar Gaddafi, whom Hillary Clinton said, we came, we saw, he died. I'll put up a photograph of Colonel Gaddafi just before he died, and another one of Assad and Putin discussing the future of Syria and Moscow. In my piece, The Meaning of Aleppo, I said Aleppo is the moment when the trend changed and Russia and Iran are now in the ascendancy. And those in their palaces in Riyadh, Doha, and Istanbul, because he's got a mighty fine palace, need to appreciate how fluid this moment is and how exposed they are now. Put up a photograph of Aleppo by 412-007 Sunset. It is an ancient metropolis which may have been inhabited since the 6th millennium BC, one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Another photograph from Mevin CBC of Aleppo, and then a tweet from Alabedbana, very happy to meet Mr. Erdogan, who seems remarkably happy in that photograph. Vladimir Putin was informed of the assassination of his ambassador while on his way to watch a play written by Alexander Griboyedov, Nicholas I's ambassador to Persia, who was killed in 1829 when a mob stormed the Russian embassy in Tehran. Die Welt put out this photograph of the fugitive that Germany is currently looking for the Berlin lorry crash. And you remember my piece about the brothers Sarnaev and the long tail. And I was going back to Albert Camus to describe these people like Sarnaev, the fellow in Ankara, this fellow who's meant to be Tunisian. And I was quoting the stranger, the Byronic hero incapable of love, or capable only of an impossible love, suffers endlessly. He is solitary, languid. His condition exhausts him. If he wants to feel alive, it must be the terrible exaltation of a brief and destructive action. The Taiwanese Minister of Foreign Affairs, David Lee, speaks at a news conference after Sao Tome ended ties with Taiwan. Obviously, that was greased with a lot of cash from China and shore. Waiting for 20,000 continues. The Dow falls 32.66 points to 19,941. At one point, it hit 19,987.63. Let's move on to the currency markets. The euro dollar 104.50, dollar index 102.83, Japanese yen 117.63, Swissy 102.36. The pound 123.44 has been softening a little bit of late. Aussie 0.7216, India rupee 67.965, South Korean won 12.0310. Brazilian real 332.71, Egyptian pound 19.3020, and the rand around the 14 level. I'll put up a chart of the dollar index. My target is 110 for 2017. We've gone over 100 now. We're at sort of 14-year highs in point of fact. Euro dollar 104.48 trading last. I think we're going to be at sub 0.90 in 2017. Italy 1-year risk spread over Germany jumps as Italy Treasury seen taking at least 50% stake in troubled lender Monte dei Paschi. Actually did a lot of business in Italy, went to Siena to visit Monte dei Paschi many years ago. The Bloomberg Commodity Index looks set to notch up an annual gain for the first time since 2010. A 10% gain wouldn't exactly make 2016 a leap year. The index is still only at roughly half the level where it ended 2010. The second thing is that of the 4 groups that are up, 3 really count: energy, industrial, metals, and precious metals. Sorry, coffee and sugar just make 7% of that index. So to ensure a really happy new year for commodities, you just need to put your faith in a gang of Indian brides, Chinese bureaucrats, and Middle Eastern frenemies. Situation normal. Gold, last trading at 11.30. I think we have to expect further downside. Crude oil trading at $52.22. Let's see how my $60 prediction, in fact I said it won't go above 60, plays out in 2017. And copper, this is an interesting story because you've got the problems in the DRC, which are playing up quite dramatically, as you can see. And they, of course, are a big supplier of copper to the global markets. But at the same time, it seems there's been a big surge in copper stockpiles. Venezuelan stock market has surged dramatically. Have a look at this from Bloomberg TV. It's a safe haven against a devaluing currency. Ian Bremmer tweeted Venezuela lining up to deposit 100 Bolivar notes before they become worthless. Current value is 2 cents. August 2015, I said the end is nigh, the meltdown is coming, and I quoted Kapuscinski, if the crowd disperses, goes home, does not reassemble, we say the revolution is over. And I said the revolution is only just beginning. Have a look at this from business. This is Gulf stock markets year to date. Let's move on to Africa. Congo security forces killed at least 34 in anti-Kabila protests. This is Human Rights Watch. 12th of December, I spoke of how the biker president sitting in the presidential palace in Kinshasa is hanging on by his fingertips. Said these regimes are facing an existentialist crisis, and asked how many people can an incumbent regime shoot stone cold dead? 100, 1,000, 10,000. This is another point. There is a threshold beyond which the incumbent can't go. He hasn't gone beyond that threshold. It's very cynical to be talking about numbers, but we're below the number that tips it over the edge so far. Put up a photograph of Kinshasa taken by Power 987 News. Oil rise makes Gabon bonds emerging markets most profitable, sharp fall in yields. Dollar versus rand, let me put up a chart. We're around this 14 level, which is mid-range. Egyptian pound, which has softened up considerably, now at 1930. We also learned that Coca-Cola has bought the African bottling, buys African bottling from AB InBev for $3.15 billion. Here in Kenya, Kenya has turned down funds to educate voters. Jerome Starkey, who's not allowed into the country, writes for the Times, says the Kenyan government has closed a US-funded project to educate voters in the run-up to next year's elections, and the latest sign that President Kenyatta fears foreign interference could sway the polls against him. Mr. Kenyatta, who had studied at Amherst College in Massachusetts, claimed money was coming to Kenya in the guise of supporting good governance or civic education. Its true intention is to influence our electoral choices, he said. This is our country, and no one should ever try and control our choices for their selfish interests. Robert Godek, whose Carol service party I attended last week, is the US ambassador, rejected what he called an attempt to discredit the United States. He said his government was trying to assist Kenyans in the conduct of free, fair, peaceful, and credible elections in 2017. The traditional incumbent re-election bias is at a historic low, and the ground is fast shifting beneath the feet of the political establishments of LSE for business, and I tend to agree with that. I think that's informing us of the president's reaction. But, if they are not nervous at this point in time, then they are complacent. Kenyan bankers in danger of being locked out of the US financial system over money laundering claims. This is John Prendergast, former Assistant National Security Advisor, now a founding director of the Enough Project. And finally, if you want to look into any share price, look at the last link on Rich Wrap-Ups and click on that for the latest share price data. I'm looking forward to the holiday. I'm sure you are too. And on that note, I shall take my leave.